Over here at O'Connor tonight, we are constantly amused by Elon Musk. I mean, here he is, the richest man in the world. He's revolutionized the automobile manufacturing industry. He's about to send a rocket up in space that'll eventually take us to Mars. And he just bought Twitter basically because he likes to have fun on it and he thinks that freedom of speech is an important thing. Well, his latest project is labeling certain media outlets out there so that we, the consumer of their information, can contextualize who it is that's tweeting at us. I'll give you an example. It started with the BBC. BBC is the British Broadcasting Corporation. They are funded by the British government, and so they've been labeled as such, government-funded media. Now, this is very instructive for us. We get to see what the BBC is putting out there under the guise of news, and then we can evaluate it through the lens of, oh, well, the British government literally funds these guys, so clearly they're not going to bite off the hand that feeds them, right? This is good for us, the consumer. He then focused his sights on American media with NPR. Same thing, government-funded media. NPR and PBS, they're constantly screaming and complaining about needing their government funding. We can't survive without government funding. Okay, well, you're government-funded media. You get the label. I love that. Went on even to the Voice of America, which is understandable. Voice of America is, in fact, government-funded media. Again, this isn't a knock on any of these organizations. It's just the truth. They're in the business of the truth, aren't they? Well, the latest dust-up occurred with the CBC. That's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, same as the BBC. Canadians are like little junior versions of the Brits, after all, aren't they? Except they play better hockey. Anyway, the CBC is, in fact, government-funded by the Canadian government, and so Elon Musk labeled them as such. They complained. They were very upset. They said, hey, we're only partially funded by the government. So Elon Musk immediately ordered that they be described as 70% government-funded media. As you can see there, he tweeted out, their concern has been addressed. Then it gets pretty funny. Just some random anonymous guy who uses the Doge meme dog as his avatar says, you should make it 69%. Give him benefit of the doubt. And Musk, the richest, most powerful man in the world, says, you're right, we'll go with 69. And then, like the Beavis and Butthead 12-year-old boy that he really is, he changed it to 69% government-funded media. 69. Get it? Shut up, Beavis. Anyway, Justin Trudeau, he calls himself the Prime Minister of Canada. He's very upset about this. Just watch.
I think it says a lot about the Conservative Party of Canada that they're choosing to constantly attack independent media organizations, journalists who are working hard to keep Canadians informed and support our democracies. CBC Radio-Canada serves right across the country, delivers local news and local content in many regions of the country that, yes, has been challenged over the past years, but the idea of adding to that challenges and laying on by attacking this Canadian institution, attacking the culture and local content that is so important to so many Canadians, really indicates the values and the approach that Mr. Poilievre is putting forward.
God, he is boring, even for a Canadian. All right, so let's unpack this for a minute. Did you hear what he just said there? First of all, here's the government defending the government-funded media. So, I mean, that sort of tells you that there's a cozy relationship there. He also said that the CBC is there to, did you hear it? Support our democracy. See, that's the function they serve. They're here to support us and what we're doing here in the government. No, that's not their job. You can't say that they're an independent agency who's there to support the democracy because that's not independent. What about if the government is doing something wrong? The whole point is, if they're so independent, if they're so vital, if they're so wonderful, why can't they survive without the tax dollars of the Canadian people? And here's the biggest aspect of all of this that everyone seems to be missing. Where's the lie? All Twitter's doing is pointing out the fact that this agency is funded by the government. That's all. Now, you may think it's a wonderful thing. You may think it's an awful thing. That doesn't matter. There's no editorializing here. There's no subjective attack. It's merely stating a fact. But see, in the world we live in today, stating a fact is controversial, at least according to people on the left. You're not allowed to acknowledge the reality of the situation. And if you do, you're being subversive. You're being a fascist. You're attacking. No, we're not. We're just pointing out the truth. And they don't want you to know the truth, which is kind of a problem in and of itself, especially if you're in the business of government and media. Whenever you're in the government and you're in the media and you're trying to block the citizens from learning the truth, you're on the wrong side of the conversation. There's one other part of this that I think is important for everybody to recognize, and that is from the BBC to NPR to PBS to the CBC now, we've got this all hands on deck defense of their product by saying that they're independent from the government. They're complaining, they're whining, they're screaming, they're protesting at being called government funded because there's a tacit acknowledgement there that by being government funded, by being under the umbrella of the government, that in some way it's a bad thing, that they don't want to be associated with the government, that would be some kind of scarlet letter, that it would be a blemish on their pure record. And they're right, because government is a problem. Government is corrupt. Government manipulates. Government tries to control your life. Government tries to take as much power as possible and inflict that power upon the citizenry. Thank you. We've been saying that for decades, we conservatives. So if these media outlets don't want to be associated with the government, isn't it a tacit acknowledgement that being associated with the government is bad, that it's a problem? We'll take that as a W. Thank you very much. Well, either that or they know full well that they're just a propaganda arm for the government, but they don't want you to know it, and so they're lying about it. They're saying, oh, of course not. We have nothing to do with the government. We're completely independent. We wouldn't have anything to do with those people, all the while they are happy to take the bag loads of money that they're given and the marching orders that go along with that money. Of course they're fine with it because they're all on the same team, but they're lying to you about it. They're deceiving you. They're trying to tell you otherwise. So what's our choice here? Either yes, they hate the government just as much as we do and they don't want to have any kind of public acknowledgement that they're associated with it because they recognize that that's bad, or they're fine with it but they want to lie to you to make sure that you continue to be sort of the blinded sheeple that they want you to be. Either way, these aren't the actions of a media outlet. They're not the actions of a journalistic endeavor. They're not the actions of organizations that are interested in finding and disseminating the truth. They are exactly what Elon Musk and Twitter has labeled them. Government-funded, government-controlled media. And all we'd like everyone to know is exactly that fact. And then you can make your choice. Go ahead and click on it. Go ahead and watch it. Go ahead and consume it. Go ahead and believe it if you want. Just know what you're consuming. What's wrong with that? We trust you to have that kind of knowledge. Weird, isn't it? More to come on O'Connor Tonight.